Alright, welcome back. This is Brother Thabiti. I'm going to be doing some simplifying rational expressions today. I'm going to do about 3 problems real quick and just pay attention. I think you will be able to understand it. Okay, so the first problem we're going to go ahead and do here, we'll do, let's say d plus 6d plus 8 divided by d squared minus d minus 20. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use some acronyms today. I'm going to go with FAM, which is FAM, okay? So for each one of these terms, we're going to satisfy each one of these acronyms here. So FAM, F is going to stand for factor, okay? So we're going to do for the first one here, and actually there is a squared right here. This is d squared plus 6d plus 8. And then we have d squared minus d minus 20. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we're going to go ahead and factor. And what that means is that just means that we're going to split this in pieces. So d squared actually means we'll go ahead and put our parentheses here. We'll put a d here. So we'll put a d right here, and we'll also put a d over here. So now we have d squared. So that takes care of that. Now the next thing here is A, that stands for adding. So what we're going to do is we're going to be able to add two numbers together that equals 6. At the same time, if we multiply those same two numbers, it's going to give us a positive 8 over here. That's what the multiplication is for here, okay? So if we look at this and meditate on this, we're going to add two numbers together. That's going to give us 6 and multiply those two numbers and give us 8. I would try, say, 2 and 4, right? If we add 2 and 4 together, we're going to get 6. If we multiply those same two numbers, we're going to get, yes, 8. And so this looks like that's what we need, so we're done with the top part. Now what's our next one here? Same thing, we're going to do FAM. And remember, we have a D here in the middle here. If there's no number next to this D, what should we put there? Yes, a 1. Good job. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is go ahead and factor, just like we did before. So we'll go ahead and factor, put our brackets here, our parentheses, and the first thing we want to do is go ahead and factor d, just like we did before, and we'll put a d on both sides here. Then the next thing is we have to find out what number can we add together that's going to give us a negative 1. Those same two numbers we can multiply together and get negative 20. And when I'm thinking about that, I'm saying, well, I have a 1 in the middle, so that means I got two numbers that are very close to each other, okay? That if I add them together, it's going to give me negative 1. And the only thing I can think of would be a 5 and a 4. Since 5 times 4 we know is 20, so it has to have a 5 and a 4 there. So which one out of the 5 and 4 should be negative and which one should be positive? Well, if we're going to subtract and keep the sign of the larger number and it's negative, obviously the large number out of 5 and 4 is 5. So obviously the 5 must be negative and the 4 must be positive. So we'll go positive 4, right? And we would do a negative 5. Okay. Now if we're doing this, now at this point we're ready to finish our problem, and so what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and cross out our duplicates here. So we have the d plus 4, those can go. And what do we have left? At the numerator we have d plus 2, and our denominator we have is d minus 5. So if you got that, give yourself a round of applause. Good job. Negative 9. And so let's go ahead and do the first factoring first. So we just do an F, and it's like an F and there's no A here. There's F and an M with two terms here. Okay, so we have h squared. So that means we're going to go ahead and separate this h and break it into two pieces. So we have brackets here, we have brackets there, and so we'll go ahead and make an h here and an h there. So now we have h squared. Yes, we can do a negative 3 and a positive 3. If we if we multiply those two together, they're going to give us negative 9. And so we have h minus 3 and h plus 3. So this is all taken care of. Okay, now let's do the bottom here. Now the bottom here there's three terms here, so we can use our FAM method of FAM. Okay, so factor, we're going to factor it out first. So in factoring out first, we're going to have the h's just like we had in the numerator here. And now the 6 and the 9 here. Now we need two numbers that we can actually add together that's going to give us a 6. And those same two numbers we can multiply, that gives us 9. And that's a pretty simple one. We add 3 and 3 together, we're going to get, yes, we're going to get 9. See that? Now at this point we want to eliminate our duplicates. Do we have any duplicates here we can eliminate? Yes, we do. Duplicates on our numerator and a denominator here. So we can eliminate those. And what do we have left? Yes, as our numerator we have h minus 3, and our denominator we have h plus 3. And that will be your final answer. Give yourselves a round of applause. Alright, let's go ahead and finish up. This is our last problem here we're going to go ahead and this is our last challenge that we're going to do. We don't have any problems. We can solve these. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is go ahead and since we have three terms here on the top, we can go ahead and use our FAM method. Alright, F-A-M. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is go ahead and do our F, which means factor. So we'll go ahead and put our parentheses here, and let's go ahead and put our F here, and we have an F there. So we got our factoring out of the way. Next thing we want to do is find out two numbers that we can actually multiply those two numbers together and get negative 8. Add those same numbers, those two numbers together, and get 2. So when I'm looking at that, I know that 2 times 4 is 8, and 2 is 2 spaces away from 4, so it must be a 2 and a 4 somehow. So if I multiply two numbers together, that gives me negative 8, and I add those two numbers, it gives me 4. I would say a 4 and a 2. Now it has to be a positive, since we have a positive here in the middle, so that means that the higher number has to be positive, right? So out of 4 and 2, I'll put a positive 2, a positive 4, and a negative 2, right? That way when we subtract them, we have to keep the sign of the larger number, and it will be a positive 2. When we multiply those two numbers together, it's going to give us a negative 8. And so yes, that will take care of our top there, and these are our numbers we're looking at. Now let's do the denominator here. Now in this situation here is 2f squared. So a is actually not 1. In this top one here, a is considered 1. This is a, this is b, and this is c. Okay, this top one here is 1 because there's no digit next to it. Remember, there's a variable with no number to the left of it. It's automatically 1. But this variable has a 2 next to it. That means we must write this out as 2. Then we go ahead and put our brackets here, because we have an f squared there. So just like we did the other one here, we have to put the f's inside the parentheses here. So now we have f squared. Now the last thing we have here, it says negative 8. We have two numbers here that we have to put inside here, and we have to multiply the 2 by everything that's inside the parentheses, and it has to add up to 8. So what should these other two numbers be if we're multiplying and we want them to add up to 8? Yes, it would be 2. So we're going to have a 2 here. You automatically know this is a 2 and this is a 2. Now the next thing you have to ask yourself is, are these two negatives or two positives? If it's negative 8, we know that one must be negative and the other one must be positive. So we make this. Alright, so we can make this a positive 2. We make that a negative 2. Alright, is there any duplicates that we can actually get rid of for the numerators and the denominators? Yes, right here we can get rid of these f minus 2's. And what do we have left? We have f plus 4 divided by 2f plus 2, And that will be our final answer. Give yourselves a round of applause. Good job.